The morning light filters through the curtains, casting a soft golden glow across the room. You wake slowly, the warmth of your blankets pulling you deeper into the cocoon of sleep. For a moment, the weight of the day's responsibilities does not yet press on your shoulders. The world outside feels distant, wrapped in the comfort of the room you have carefully curated, a space where every detail is perfect, every piece of furniture placed with deliberate precision. The scent of lavender drifts in the air, carried by the faint morning breeze, and the soft ticking of the clock in the corner provides a steady rhythm to the quiet. You sit up slowly, pulling the soft sheets around you. The first thing you notice is the chill in the air, a reminder of the early hour and the cold that persists even inside your home. The house is still, save for the occasional creak of the floorboards beneath your feet as you stand. You move toward the vanity, the gold-framed mirror reflecting your image. Your reflection is neat, controlled, just as it should be. You adjust your posture, straighten your back, and fix the front of your nightgown. Everything must be in place. That's the rule, isn't it? Order, perfection. The clock ticks on, its rhythmic sound growing louder in your ears. You take a deep breath, your hand hovering just above the brush laid carefully on the vanity. It's time to prepare for the day. The weight of the day's expectations hangs in the air, and you know that every moment will be spent in accordance with the strict social rules that govern your every action. In this world, every glance, every word, every gesture is measured. You are not simply Jane Wilson, you are Jane Wilson, a young lady of fine breeding, whose reputation must be maintained with meticulous care. Your movements must be graceful, your speech proper, and your emotions contained. The thought of stepping out into the world outside of this room brings a flicker of unease. The social obligations, the gatherings, the constant eyes that watch, waiting for you to slip, to break form. But you steady yourself. You are strong and you know your role in this intricate dance. The society you navigate is one of invisible barriers, of unspoken rules that dictate everything, from how you speak to whom you speak. Your future is tethered to these rules, your marriage, your prospects, your very place in the world. You reach for the brush, your movements steady and precise, and begin to smooth your hair into the perfect arrangement. It is the first step of many. Today will be another series of carefully planned interactions, moments where you must play the part of the ideal young lady. A smile here, a laugh there, nodding politely, all while concealing the thoughts that race beneath the surface. Because in this world, emotion is a luxury, one that must be hidden away, tucked deep inside, lest it disrupt the delicate balance of appearances. As you finish brushing your hair, your gaze lingers on your reflection once more. You are ready. The world will soon expect you to meet its standards, to shine within the confines it has set for you. But in your heart, a quiet voice whispers of freedom, of the life beyond the rules, and the desire to be more than what is expected of you. Yet, for now, you remain still, a perfect picture of restraint, ready to step into the role you have been given. The day unfolds like clockwork, every movement deliberate, every task outlined in the book of social expectations. You slip into your morning dress, the fabric stiff, but it fits you perfectly, as it always does. The corset presses against your ribs, a constant reminder of the restraints placed upon you. Not just by fabric, but by the rules of the world you inhabit. With each breath, you adjust to the discomfort, knowing that discomfort is simply part of the price of being respectable. You are not just wearing clothing, you are wearing an image, an expectation. The scent of lavender lingers, now mingled with the faint hint of rosewater as you finish your toilette. The pale pinks and whites of your morning attire reflect the soft glow of the room, as though you are a figure placed in this world for the sole purpose of representing calm, poise, and grace. The mirror before you does not show the person you feel inside, but the person you must be. You turn slightly, checking how your profile looks. Every detail must be perfect, no part of you allowed to betray any inner turmoil. Your face is a mask, but one you have perfected over time. Downstairs, the household is already in motion. The clinking of china, the hum of the servants preparing breakfast, it's a symphony of routine, a reminder that life must continue without pause. You move down the staircase slowly, each step measured and quiet, just as your mother taught you. A lady should glide, not walk. As you reach the foot of the stairs, the kitchen comes into view. The smell of warm bread and cooked eggs fills the air, a comfort yet also a signal that today is like any other. Predictable, orderly, and filled with little interactions that must be handled with precision. Your mother stands by the hearth, her hands busy with the morning preparations. Her back is straight, her posture flawless. She turns as you enter the room, her gaze appraising you with a critical yet affectionate glance. Jane, you look quite lovely today, but remember, you must always carry yourself with grace. A lady's worth is not just in her looks, but in the way she presents herself. The words are familiar, routine, yet still, they make your heart flutter with both affection and a tinge of frustration. You nod obediently, offering a polite smile. "Thank you, mother," you reply, knowing full well that your thoughts must remain hidden, tucked away from her scrutinizing eyes. You've heard her words countless times, and while they are meant to guide you, they also remind you of the distance between who you are and who she wants you to be. It is a distance you've learned to live with, though it often leaves you feeling hollow, as if you are constantly performing, always adhering to a script that has been written for you. Your father enters the room shortly after, his presence commanding yet distant. He speaks of the day's plans, the gatherings, the social calls. His words are measured, precise, just as they always are. You listen, nodding when appropriate, saying the expected things. His gaze rests briefly on you, his approval evident in the way he raises his brow ever so slightly. His silence is a command in itself, his expectations of you unspoken but ever present. As a lady of the household, you are expected to be both invisible and indispensable, present when needed but silent when not. As breakfast is served, the conversation shifts to the day's obligations. There are calls to make, teas to host, and visits to attend. These are the duties that come with your role in society. Duties that keep you busy, keep you in line, but also prevent you from ever truly living. You are a fixture in this world, performing your role with precision and grace, but you cannot escape the sense of loss that lingers at the edges of your thoughts. How long can you continue in this way? How long can you be content with the role you've been given, when your heart longs for something more? As you sit down to the table, the weight of the meal before you feels symbolic, an offering, a duty, a representation of what is expected. The food is rich, the conversation polite, but the tension in the air is palpable. Each interaction is a dance, each word a step in a performance you are both a part of and an observer of. The clock on the wall ticks steadily, and you wonder for a fleeting moment if time will ever slow enough for you to catch your breath, to be more than just Jane Wilson, the daughter of respectable parents, the lady who must never falter. The morning slips into afternoon, and the house continues its predictable rhythm. Outside, the world is bathed in light, but you are hidden behind the layers of your social role, a role that demands constant attention and vigilance. You move through your day as though on autopilot. Polite exchanges with the servants, cordial conversations with neighbors, the occasional stop at the tailor for a fitting. There is no space for anything else, no room for spontaneity or expression. Your actions, your words are always carefully considered, measured, restrained. The call to afternoon tea comes as expected. You glide into the drawing room where your mother and a few select ladies have already gathered. The room is warm, the smell of tea and freshly baked scones mingling in the air. The soft clink of china, the rustling of silk dresses, the murmur of polite conversation, all of these sounds blend into a harmonious, soothing rhythm that signifies the well-oiled machine of upper-class life. Here everyone knows their place, and everyone plays their part. The air is thick with unspoken rules. Who should sit next to whom? Who should speak first? Who should remain silent? You know all these rules by heart, and you follow them without fail. Your eyes flicker over the faces of the other women gathered around the table. They smile at you, but their smiles are tight, constrained by the same expectations that bind you. Each of them is carefully crafted to appear graceful, poised and composed, but you can see the cracks in their facades if you look closely. The tension in their smiles, the slight stiffness in their posture, these are the small signs of lives spent under the weight of propriety, of desires and dreams buried deep beneath layers of social demands. As you sit down, Your mother offers you a gentle smile, a subtle approval that always follows when you've behaved in the manner expected of you. She pours the tea, her hands steady and practiced. You take your cup and sip, careful not to spill a drop, mindful of every gesture. Conversation flows around you, but you're not truly engaged. It's a dance of words, light, airy and pleasant, but lacking depth. They discuss the latest fashions, the upcoming ball, the state of the weather, all things that matter in the world of women like you, but none of it feels real. It's all surface, all performance. Your gaze drifts out the window, where the garden beyond looks peaceful and quiet. The flowers are beginning to bloom, their vibrant colours a sharp contrast to the muted tones of the room. You long to step outside, to breathe the fresh air, to feel the earth beneath your feet, but that would be unthinkable. You are bound to this room, to this life. It is a life of expectation, where every move is scrutinized, every glance is interpreted. You are constantly performing, constantly calculating, and it wears on you. But there is no choice. You must play the role, for to step outside the lines would mean disgrace, and that is a price you cannot afford. As you listen to the others speak, your mind wanders again. You think of the man you saw earlier in the week, the one with the bright blue eyes who caught your gaze for just a moment before turning away. You remember the fleeting spark of something between you, something that felt real, something that felt like a whisper of freedom. But that moment was fleeting, and you know that you cannot afford such distractions. There is no room for real emotions in this world, no space for the kind of connection that comes from the heart. Everything here is calculated, controlled, and you must continue to play your part. You sip your tea again, the warmth of the liquid soothing, but it does little to quell the restlessness inside. You smile at your mother, nodding at the appropriate times as the conversation continues. Yet, you can't shake the feeling that there must be more to life than this, more than the endless cycle of appearances, the weight of rules that govern every interaction. The quiet longing in your chest grows with every passing moment, and you wonder silently if you will ever find a way to live authentically, or if you will always be bound to this life of constraint. The afternoon stretches on, and as the conversations around you continue, you feel yourself withdrawing further into the quiet of your own thoughts. The room is warm, the light filtering through the lace curtains, but your mind is elsewhere, caught in a haze of longing that has become increasingly difficult to ignore. The air feels thick, laden with expectations, and though the conversations are polite, even pleasant, you cannot shake the feeling of suffocation that comes with them. The walls of this house, the walls of your life, seem to close in on you with every passing moment. Your thoughts drift back to the man you briefly locked eyes with earlier in the week. The brief exchange had been innocent enough, just a look, a fleeting moment. But that moment had stirred something inside you, a feeling you hadn't expected, a whisper of connection, of possibility, that felt almost forbidden in this world, where feelings are wrapped up in propriety and decorum. You can still see the intensity in his eyes, the way they had softened as they met yours. There was something raw, something unpolished in that brief connection, and it lingered in your mind long after the moment had passed. You take a deep breath, pushing the thought away, focusing back on the present. You sip your tea again, the warmth of the liquid doing little to soothe the growing sense of restlessness inside you. The room seems to grow quieter as you zone out, the soft hum of conversation becoming a distant murmur. You find yourself staring out the window, watching the garden outside, the flowers in full bloom, their colours vivid and alive against the backdrop of the grey sky. The world outside is so different from the one inside the walls of this house. It feels free, open, untamed, but that freedom is as distant to you as the stars in the sky, beautiful but unattainable. Jane, your mother's voice breaks through your reverie, and you turn to face her, offering a smile that doesn't quite reach your eyes. She's looking at you with the same gentle concern she's worn for years, the same expression that always makes you feel as though she's scrutinizing you, trying to determine if you're following the rules. Are you well? You seem distant today. You nod, though the truth is far from that simple. I'm fine, Mother. Just a little tired, I suppose. You force another smile, but it feels thin, fragile. She doesn't seem convinced, but lets it go, turning her attention back to the other ladies who have begun discussing the latest fashions and the upcoming ball. You know what is expected of you here. The role you are supposed to play is clear. Attentive, polite, composed, with nothing to disturb the perfect image that has been crafted for you. But as you sit there, you can feel the weight of your own desires pressing against your chest. The life you've been taught to embrace feels like a delicate facade, a mask that grows heavier with each passing day. You long for something real, something that is not dictated by social codes, something unrestrained and honest. Yet every time you try to reach for it, the mask slips back into place, and you feel the heavy pull of responsibility weigh down on you. You are a daughter, a woman of respectable standing, a lady bound by the rules of a society that values appearances over substance. And then, without warning, the image of Thomas returns, like a flicker of light in the midst of your inner darkness. The brief moment you shared with him, the way his eyes had softened in that fleeting glance, has taken root in your thoughts, growing like a seed in the soil. It was a simple moment, a passing glance, but for you, it felt like a spark, a tiny flicker of freedom in a world otherwise filled with chains. You look around at the women sitting around the table, the way they engage in polite conversation, the way they nod and smile, their eyes glimmering with the same carefully controlled restraint you're expected to emulate. You wonder, do they feel the same weight you do? Do they ever wonder what lies beyond this world of expectations? Or have they become so accustomed to it that the idea of breaking free never even crosses their minds? You stand up abruptly, causing a slight stir in the room. "Excuse me," you murmur, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "I need a moment." Without waiting for a response, you walk toward the door, your footsteps echoing on the wooden floor. You move past the women, their gaze following you with polite curiosity, but no real concern. As you step into the hallway, you pause for a moment, breathing deeply, feeling the air shift around you, cooler and fresher than the stuffy drawing room you've just left. The world outside, freedom, the unknown, is just beyond this door, just beyond these walls, but you can't step through it. Not yet. You turn back and walk toward the small study at the back of the house. It is here, alone in the quiet corners of your home, that you can gather your thoughts, where the weight of expectation seems to lift, if only momentarily. The study is simple, its shelves lined with books that you've read countless times. You sit by the window, gazing out at the garden once again. The storm clouds that had once loomed over the horizon have parted, and the sunlight begins to filter through, casting soft beams onto the earth. The garden looks peaceful now, serene, but you know that, just like your life, it is not without its shadows. Your thoughts return to Thomas once again, and you wonder, not for the first time, what it would be like to live a life without so many rules, without so many expectations. Would it be simpler? Would it be easier? Or would it leave you feeling even more lost than you already? The questions linger, but they go unanswered. For now, all you can do is wait for the storm to pass, both outside and within yourself. The minutes pass in the quiet study, and the weight of silence begins to press on you. The distant hum of the house, the soft footsteps of servants, the faint murmurs of your mother's voice in another room, reminds you that life continues outside this small sanctuary, its rhythm unbroken by your moment of introspection. Yet, in this stillness, you begin to hear your thoughts more clearly than ever before. The room feels both safe and suffocating, a place where you can momentarily escape from the constraints of society, but also one where your own desires seem to echo louder against the walls. The window before you offers a view of the garden, the sun now casting long, golden rays over the carefully manicured flowers and the winding pathways. The breeze rustles the leaves of the trees, carrying with it the faint scent of fresh earth and blooming petals. For a fleeting moment, you imagine stepping outside, into the sunlight, into the open air, where the world seems less confined, less controlled. You could walk through the garden, breathe deeply, and for once be free from the unspoken expectations that always shadow your every step. But the thought fades quickly, replaced by the weight of reality. You are a daughter of a respectable family, a lady whose actions are observed, measured, and judged by society's standards. Freedom is a luxury, a fleeting dream that must remain just out of reach. As much as you long for it, you cannot simply reach out and grasp it. The rules, the family's reputation, your place in society, they are not easily cast aside. They are woven into the very fabric of your life, and to break free would mean risking everything. It is not a choice you can make lightly. You stand and move toward the window, running your fingers along the cool glass as you peer out at the garden once more. The wind picks up again, the trees swaying gently, as if urging you to take that first step, to walk beyond the gate and into the unknown. But you remain still, your fingers tracing the edges of the window pane, lost in the thought of what could be and what must be. There is comfort in the routine, in the certainty of what is expected of you. The world outside may be vast, but here, within these walls, everything is known, everything is contained. A soft knock on the door breaks your reverie, and you turn to find your mother standing in the doorway. Her presence is a reminder of the unspoken duty that binds you to this life, the obligations that you cannot escape. She looks at you with that familiar expression, half concerned, half knowing, and steps inside the room, her presence filling the space with the weight of expectations. "Jane," she begins, her voice steady but soft. "You've been quiet today. Is everything well?" You smile, the gesture automatic, though it doesn't quite reach your eyes. "Of course, Mother. I'm simply a little tired, that's all." She nods, her gaze lingering on you for a moment longer than usual. You feel as if she can see right through you, as if she knows something is amiss, even though you've said nothing. "You mustn't overthink, my dear. You have so much ahead of you. You are a lady of great worth, and you must not forget that." Her words, though gentle, feel like a chain wrapping around your chest. You are a lady, yes, but you are also a prisoner to this life, to the role you must play. The truth of what she says lingers in the air, but it feels like an empty promise, a truth that does not account for the restlessness that stirs within you. You nod in response, offering the kind of smile you know she expects. "I won't forget, Mother." She seems satisfied with this answer and leaves you to your thoughts. As her footsteps fade down the hallway, you are left alone again, with nothing but the soft sounds of the house around you and the growing tension in your chest. The weight of your mother's words hangs in the air, suffocating and familiar. You are a lady of great worth, but what worth is there in a life lived for others? What is the price of constantly performing, of constantly suppressing the true self beneath layers of expectation? The garden outside beckons again, but this time you do not linger in the fantasy of freedom. You know that to step beyond these walls is not just to step into the unknown, it is to break free from everything that has defined you, everything that has kept you safe. And yet, even as you understand this, a small part of you cannot help but wonder what it would be like to simply let go, to stop caring about the expectations, to live for yourself without the heavy burden of societal rules. But that is not the life you have chosen, or the life you can afford to choose. For now you will remain here, in the quiet of this room, in the life that has been carved out for you. But deep within, the yearning for something more simmers, a quiet fire that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how tightly it is contained. The house feels quieter now, the ticking of the clock on the mantelpiece the only sound that keeps you company. Time seems to stretch in the silence, a steady, relentless march that neither pauses nor hastens for your desires. You return to your place by the window, looking out at the garden again. The sunlight has shifted now, casting long shadows across the grass, and the soft rustling of the leaves in the breeze is the only sound that reaches you. You breathe deeply, feeling the weight of the air, heavy with expectation, pressing down on you. You wish for a moment that you could escape the weight of it all, that you could simply step outside and lose yourself in the simplicity of nature, but even that seems impossible. As you stand there staring at the garden, your mind drifts back to the last time you were outside, walking through these very grounds. It was just a few days ago, but it feels like a lifetime. The air had been fresher then, more open, and there had been a sense of freedom in every step you took, as though the boundaries of the house, of society, had momentarily disappeared. But that freedom was fleeting. It always is. Even now, as you look out the window, The world beyond feels so distant, so out of reach. You turn away from the window, feeling a strange ache in your chest. The desire to be something more, to live a life less constrained, bubbles up once again, as it always does in these quiet moments. You've been taught all your life that your worth lies in your ability to fit within the mold that society has crafted for you. You are a woman of status, a daughter of respectable parents, a lady of fine breeding. Everything about your life, from your clothes to your speech, has been shaped by the expectations of others. But inside, a part of you still longs for more. A part of you wants to feel the wind on your face without worrying about your appearance. A part of you wants to walk through life with a sense of purpose that is not dictated by what others think of you. You let out a quiet sigh, the sound barely audible in the stillness of the room. The weight of your thoughts grows heavier, and for a moment you feel a pang of frustration. Why is it so hard to break free? Why is it so difficult to simply be who you truly are, to live for yourself rather than for the approval of others? You want to yell, to scream, but the thought is quickly silenced by the voice inside you, the voice that reminds you of your duties, your responsibilities, the life you've been born into. You walk back to the vanity, your steps slow and measured. The mirror reflects your image back at you, a woman poised, composed, ready to step into the world once again. But beneath the surface, you feel the turmoil, the conflict that no one else sees. You wonder if anyone truly understands what it's like to wear a mask every day, to live a life that's not your own, to smile when you want to cry, to nod when you want to speak your mind. How long can you continue like this? How long can you pretend that everything is as it should be, when all you truly desire is the freedom to live authentically? You pull the brush through your hair, the motion automatic, but your mind is elsewhere. You are here, in this room, performing the role expected of you, but your heart is outside, with the wind in the garden, with the possibility of something more. You long for a world where you don't have to hide your true self, where you don't have to play the part of the perfect lady. The thought is bittersweet, because you know it is a world that is out of reach for you, at least for now. The clock chimes the hour and you startle slightly, the sound breaking through your reverie. It's time to prepare for the evening. The day's duties await, and once again you will slip into your role, performing the same motions, saying the same words, playing the part of the perfect daughter, the perfect lady. But in your heart, you know that tonight, as always, there will be a part of you that yearns for something more, something real, something free. And yet, you will smile, you will nod, and you will continue to live the life that has been laid out for you, one carefully measured step at a time. The evening approaches, and the world outside grows dim as the sun sinks beneath the horizon. The storm that had raged earlier has subsided, leaving behind a world washed clean, the air crisp and sharp. The garden, which had looked so distant earlier in the day, now seems peaceful, almost inviting. But inside, the quiet tension still lingers, the weight of your own thoughts pressing heavily on your chest. The house, once a sanctuary, now feels more like a cage. Each step you take through its halls feels more deliberate, as if every action, every movement must be measured, calculated, controlled. Even the walls seem to close in on you, reminding you of the constraints of your world. You stand by the window again, your hands lightly resting on the cool glass. The view outside is beautiful, the last remnants of sunlight casting long shadows across the lawn. The faint rustling of the trees in the breeze is the only sound you hear, and it makes you long for a moment of peace, a moment where you can just be, free from the expectations that weigh so heavily on your soul. But you know, deep down, that such a moment is a luxury you cannot afford. You are, after all, a lady, and ladies do not seek freedom in the way that you crave it. Your mother's voice calls to you from downstairs, breaking your moment of solitude. She sounds calm, composed, as always, but there is an undercurrent of something else in her tone, an urgency perhaps, or an expectation. You know it is time to prepare for the evening. The guests will be arriving soon, and the house must be ready. The perfect appearance must be maintained, the perfect facade upheld. You turn from the window and slowly make your way down the stairs, each step another reminder of your role in this grand, yet confining performance. As you enter the drawing room, the familiar faces of the other women greet you. They are already seated, talking softly, their laughter a well-practiced sound, carefully controlled and polite. The conversation is light, filled with talk of upcoming events, the latest fashions, and, of course, the men who might be potential suitors. It's a dance you've done countless times, moving from one polite exchange to the next, never letting your true thoughts surface. But tonight, as you sit down with them, you can't help but feel the quiet ache of longing that has been growing inside you. You want to speak, to express something real, something that isn't dictated by the rigid rules of your society, but you know you cannot. You are a lady, and a lady must remain composed, even if the weight of her own desires threatens to overwhelm her. Your thoughts drift back to Thomas Fairchild again, the brief glance you shared with him a few days ago. The flicker of something genuine that passed between you seems to linger in your mind. He had been different from the others. There was an openness in his eyes, a warmth that you haven't seen in many people of your circle. It was a subtle connection, but it felt real. Something more than the cold, calculated interactions that are the norm in your world. For a moment you wonder if he might be the one to break through the carefully constructed walls around you, if he might be the key to something more than this life of surface-level interactions. But as you sit in the drawing room, listening to the soft murmur of conversation, the reality of your situation settles back in. You cannot allow yourself to dream of such things. Thomas may have looked at you with warmth, but he is still part of the same world, part of the same system that expects you to conform, to play the role. No one is truly free. The rules of your society are clear, and you must follow them, no matter what your heart desires. Your mother enters the room, and her presence seems to command the attention of everyone in the room. She is calm, composed, the epitome of Victorian decorum. She nods to the other ladies and then turns her gaze on you, her eyes assessing. "Jane," she says, her voice cool but warm with approval. "You are ready for the evening, I trust?" You nod, the mask of composure slipping back into place. "Yes, mother," you reply, your voice steady, betraying none of the emotions that churn beneath the surface. As the evening continues, you find yourself lost in the dance of conversation once again. The guests arrive and the room fills with polite greetings and carefully measured exchanges. Thomas is among them, his presence felt but not fully acknowledged. His smile is kind, and for a moment when his eyes meet yours, you feel that spark again, the fleeting connection that ignites something deep inside you. But you suppress it as you always do. The role you must play is too important, too rigid to be interrupted by anything as messy as desire. As the night draws to a close, you find yourself retreating to your room, the weight of the evening settling over you like a heavy cloak. The world outside may have been full of conversation and polite exchanges, but inside, you feel more alone than ever. The thoughts and emotions you've kept locked away swirl inside you, and you wonder, not for the first time, if you will ever be able to live authentically. But as you close your eyes, the reality of your situation presses in, and you know that tomorrow will be the same as today. The performance will continue, and you will play your part, because that is what a lady does. But even as sleep begins to take you, you can't shake the feeling that there is more to life than this, and for the first time you wonder if perhaps there's a way to break free, to escape the role that has been assigned to you. As the evening wears on, you find yourself drifting through the familiar motions, each step calculated, each word chosen carefully. The conversations around you continue their polite dance, the sound of laughter filling the air, but you feel as though you are only an observer, watching from the outside. The room is filled with people, all dressed in their finest attire, but somehow it all feels distant. The laughter, the exchange of pleasantries, the soft rustling of silk and lace. None of it touches you in the way it once did. It all seems so far removed from the quiet longing that has taken root deep inside you. Your gaze drifts back to Thomas, who is engaged in conversation with one of the other gentlemen in the room. He looks effortlessly composed, as if he too knows the rules of this world and plays his part perfectly. And yet, there is something different about him. His presence, though subtle, seems to draw you in. His smile, the way his eyes light up when he speaks, it's all so genuine, so free from the constraints of social obligation. You wonder if he too feels the weight of the world on his shoulders, the the constant pressure to conform, but in his gaze you see a glimmer of something more, something that you long for but feel you can never attain. As the night progresses, the guests move from one conversation to the next, the formalities continuing uninterrupted. You sit there, your hands folded neatly in your lap, listening but not truly hearing. You try to engage in the conversation, to participate in the exchange of pleasantries, but your mind keeps drifting back to that one fleeting moment, the moment when you shared a glance with Thomas. It wasn't much, just a brief, unspoken connection, but it had left an impression on you, one that has only deepened with time. You shift in your seat, your hands now clutching the edges of your chair as you fight the growing sense of unease inside you. The weight of your own desires presses heavily on your chest. You feel like a stranger in your own life, trapped in a world where everything is controlled, everything is measured. You wonder, not for the first time, how much longer you can keep up this charade. How long can you pretend to be content with the life that has been handed to you? A life where every move is dictated by the expectations of society and family. Your thoughts are interrupted by the sound of laughter from the other side of the room. A group of ladies is gathered, their conversation light and filled with laughter, but it feels hollow, superficial. The chatter feels like a mask, a distraction from the truth that none of you are allowed to acknowledge. The truth that you are all living in a world that forces you to hide your true selves. The roles you play are just that, roles. They are not you. You feel a sudden, overwhelming desire to break free from it all, to leave this room, to step out into the cool night air, to breathe deeply and find the clarity you so desperately seek. You want to walk away from the expectations, from the constraints, and finally feel something real. But the thought is fleeting. The reality of your life, the world you inhabit, rushes back to you in an instant. You cannot escape. Not now, not ever. You glance once more at Thomas, who is now talking with your mother. His expression is thoughtful, his voice calm and measured, but there is a light in his eyes that speaks of something beyond the carefully crafted words of social etiquette. He speaks with sincerity, and for a moment you wonder if he too longs for something more than the world they are both forced to live in. Could it be that he, like you, feels the pull of something beyond the rules? Or is it just your wishful thinking, a hope that you can't seem to shake? As the evening wears on, the conversation shifts to the upcoming ball, and you find yourself half listening, your mind drifting back to that fleeting moment with Thomas. The desire for something real, something raw, grows stronger with each passing minute. But as you sit there, still and composed, you know that this is just another night in the cycle. Another night where you must play your part and remain the picture of grace and restraint. The night finally begins to wind down, and the guests start to depart, their laughter fading into the distance as they step out into the cool night air. You watch them leave, each person retreating into their carefully constructed lives, each one adhering to the same set of rules that govern your world. As the last guest leaves, the house feels emptier, the silence heavier. You take a slow breath, feeling the weight of the evening settle over you like a heavy cloak. You turn to your mother, offering a smile. "Thank you for hosting, Mother. It was a lovely evening." She smiles back, her face filled with approval, but there is a glint in her eyes that suggests she knows something more than she's letting on. "Of course, dear," she replies. "It's important to keep up appearances, to maintain the connections that will help secure your future. You must never forget that." You nod, though a part of you wonders if she understands the cost of those appearances, the price of living a life that is not truly your own. You turn away from her, retreating to your room, your mind once again filled with the quiet, unspoken longing for a life that is free from these constraints. As you close the door behind you, the world outside feels distant once again, and for a moment you allow yourself to dream of a life where you are not bound by rules, where you can simply be. But even as you dream, the reality of your situation presses in, and you know that for now, the mask must stay on. You are Jane Wilson, a lady of great worth and great restraint, and the life you lead is one of carefully measured steps. Perhaps one day you will find the courage to break free. But for now, all you can do is wait for the next ball, the next social gathering, the next performance. The night deepens, and the house, now empty of guests, feels quieter than ever. The silence hangs heavy, almost oppressive, and the fire in the hearth flickers low, casting long shadows on the walls. The gentle crackle of the burning logs is the only sound in the room, a soft reminder of the warmth that exists within these walls. But even that warmth feels distant, as if it is somehow detached from the rest of your life. You sit in your room, your hands folded in your lap, gazing out at the dark sky through the window. The stars are barely visible through the layers of cloud, but you can see the moon, a pale sliver that offers little light to the world below. It is a world that feels so far away from you, so far from the life you live in this house. You rise from your chair and walk slowly to the window, your feet moving quietly across the floor. You look out at the garden once again, its beauty muted in the dark. The flowers, so vibrant earlier in the day, now seem to be swallowed by the night, their colors faded under the dim light. You long to step outside, to feel the cool night air against your skin, to breathe deeply of the world that exists beyond these walls. But you know better than to act on such impulses. To step outside at this hour, to break the rules and wander freely in the garden, would be an act of defiance, and defiance is something you cannot afford. Your thoughts turn back to Thomas and the quiet connection that you both shared earlier in the evening. It had been brief, fleeting, but it had left an impression on you that refuses to fade. You wonder about him, his life, his thoughts, his feelings. Is he as constrained by society's rules as you are, or does he feel the same quiet rebellion stirring within him? You had seen something in his eyes, something that suggested there was more to him than the gentlemanly facade he wore. Could it be that he too longs for something different, something real, or is that just a fantasy, a dream that you have woven in the silence of your own heart? You close your eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the silence around you, the weight of your own thoughts pressing down on you. The storm outside may have passed, but the storm inside you rages on. You are trapped in a world of expectations, of roles that must be played, and there seems to be no way out. You wonder once again how long you can keep up the performance, how long you can continue to pretend that everything is as it should be when your heart is screaming for something more. The thought of Thomas, of the quiet exchange between you earlier, gives you a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, there is a way to break free from this world, a way to find a life that is not dictated by society's rules. But the question remains, how? How can you step outside of these constraints when every part of you has been shaped by them? How can you live authentically when everything around you demands perfection, demands conformity? You turn away from the window, the moonlight casting a soft glow on the floorboards beneath your feet. You walk back to the small desk by the wall, your thoughts swirling in your mind. You sit down, your hands resting on the cool wood, and for a moment you simply breathe. In the quiet of the room, the silence seems almost welcoming, as though it is offering you the space to think, to reflect, to dream. But even the silence cannot drown out the sound of the rules, of the expectations, of the weight of your life. You know that tomorrow will come, just as today did, with its obligations, its duties, its performances, and you will play your part as you always do. But tonight, in this moment of stillness, you allow yourself to feel the longing for something real, something that is not confined by the boundaries of your world. It is a fleeting feeling, one that will likely fade by morning, but for now, it is enough. You stand up and walk to the bed, your footsteps soft on the floor. The night is cool and the weight of the blankets feels comforting as you slip beneath them. You close your eyes, allowing the quiet to settle around you, and for a moment you let yourself dream of a world, without rules, without expectations, a world where you can simply be, without the weight of society's gaze upon you. But even as you dream, you know that tomorrow will bring you back to reality. Tomorrow will bring you back to the performance, the role you must play. But for now, in this moment, you allow yourself to rest. The storm outside may still linger, but inside, you are calm. Inside, you are free, at least for tonight. The night settles deeper into its quiet rhythm, and as you lie in your bed, your thoughts refuse to fade. The soft glow of the moon filters through the curtains, casting pale, ethereal light across the room. The shadows stretch long on the walls, and the gentle sound of the wind rustling the trees outside is a lullaby for the restless. You turn your head slightly, eyes tracing the outlines of the furniture in your room, the same familiar pieces that have been with you for years. Everything is as it should be, neatly arranged, calm, and untouched by the chaos of the outside world. But within, a storm is brewing. You cannot shake the weight of your own thoughts, the constant tension between what you have been taught to be and what you long to become. Every breath you take feels heavy, as though you are inhaling the very air of your own constriction. The walls of this room, the walls of this life, seem to close in on you, trapping you in a world of rules and expectations. You close your eyes and try to steady your breathing, but the thoughts come rushing back, relentless and insistent. The memory of Thomas lingers in your mind like a dream, a fleeting connection that has now taken root deep within you. It was only a moment, a brief glance, a quiet word, but it felt like something more, something real. You feel a pang of longing as you remember the way his eyes softened when they met yours, the way his smile seemed to speak of an understanding beyond the surface of polite conversation. Was it possible? Was there a way to truly connect with another person, free from the constraints of society? You let out a sigh, the sound barely audible in the stillness of the room. It feels like a question without an answer, a yearning without fulfillment. The life you are living feels like a performance, a never-ending act where you are required to play a part that is not your own. You are not Jane Wilson, the woman who dreams of something beyond the walls of her home. You are Jane Wilson, the daughter of respectable parents, the lady who must uphold the family name, the woman who must follow the rules. You feel the sharp sting of frustration as you realize just how deeply entrenched you are in this role. It is a role you have known all your life, one that has been taught to you, handed down from mother to daughter, generation after generation. It is a role that has been carefully constructed for you, a role that keeps you in line, that ensures your place in society. But it is not who you are. It is not who you wish to be. You try to shake the thought away, but it clings to you like a shadow. Your fingers trace the edges of the blankets, the soft fabric cool to the touch. The warmth of the bed contrasts with the coldness in your heart, the coldness that comes from a life of suppressed emotions, suppressed desires. You long for freedom, for the chance to live a life that is truly yours. But in this moment, as the house sleeps around you, you are trapped by the very expectations that have been placed upon you. You are bound by duty, by family, by society, and yet a small part of you refuses to give up the dream of something more. You close your eyes, allowing the images of the garden, of Thomas, of the possibility of another life to drift into your mind. For just a moment you let go of the rules, of the expectations, and allow yourself to imagine a life where you are free to be yourself. It is a fleeting thought, a whisper in the dark, but it is enough to ignite a spark within you. As you drift into sleep, the weight of the day lifts, if only for a moment. The chaos of your thoughts quiets, and for the briefest of moments, you are at peace. The world outside may still be filled with rules and expectations, but in your dreams, you are free. And that freedom, no matter how brief, is enough to keep you going. The morning comes too quickly, its light breaking through the heavy curtains, pulling you from the comfort of your dreams. The world outside feels like a distant memory, fading as the first sounds of the house stir you from your rest. The clock ticks steadily, marking the passage of time as you slowly wake. Your body feels heavy, weighed down by the same sense of duty that you have carried for so long. The soft warmth of the bed begins to dissipate, replaced by the cold, unyielding reality of the day ahead. You sit up slowly, taking a deep breath, and for a moment you linger in the silence of your room. The house is still, save for the faint murmurs from below, the sounds of servants preparing for the day. It is the same routine, the same steps, the same role that you must play. Every day feels like a repetition of the one before it, each moment bound by the same rules, the same expectations. There is no room for deviation, no room for error. The perfect lady must always remain perfect. As you rise from the bed and walk toward the mirror, the reflection that meets you feels more distant than ever. The face you see is familiar, but it no longer feels like your own. The mask you wear is tight, pulling at the edges of your soul, hiding the parts of you that long to break free. The delicate fabric of your life, woven by the expectations of others, seems to hold you in place, trapping you in a role that no longer fits. You can almost feel the walls of your world pressing in around you, suffocating you with the weight of what you must be, rather than who you truly are. Your fingers tremble slightly as you adjust your hair, smoothing down the strands that refuse to stay in place. The ritual is comforting in its predictability, yet it also feels like a constant reminder of what you have given up to conform. Each brush stroke, each adjustment to your attire is a reminder of the life that is not truly yours. And as you stand before the mirror, you cannot shake the feeling that you are merely going through the motions, performing the part of the perfect lady, but not living the life that you crave. Downstairs, the house begins to come alive, the sounds of breakfast being prepared rising through the walls. The servants move quietly, their presence unnoticed, their duties expected. The world outside may be waking up, but here, in this house, time feels like it has stopped, trapped in the same cycle of social obligations and unspoken rules. You are a part of that cycle, moving in harmony with its rhythms, but inside, a part of you is screaming for something more, something real. Yet, you know that for now, you must remain silent. There is no room for your truth in this world, only the truth that society has defined for you. You hear your mother's voice calling from the hallway, a soft but insistent sound that reminds you of your role, your duty. You push the thoughts aside, replacing them with the mask you know so well. As you walk toward the door, you pause for a moment, your hand resting on the doorknob, the weight of your choices pressing down on you. The world beyond the door holds both possibility and restraint. It holds freedom, but only at a price, and for now, you are not ready to pay that price. You open the door and step into the familiar rhythm of the day. The house is already bustling with activity as you make your way downstairs. Your mother greets you with a smile, her face bright and calm. "Jane," she says, her voice gentle but commanding, "I hope you're ready for the day ahead. There are many calls to make, and we must keep up with the social calendar." You nod, a smile forming on your lips, but inside the familiar ache grows once again. Another day of following the script, another day of performing. You wonder, briefly, if you'll ever break free from the role you've been assigned. But then the moment passes, and you slip back into the dance, the familiar routine taking over. You sit down at the breakfast table, the conversation flowing around you as if nothing has changed. The words are polite, the topics light, but inside you are still wrestling with the same questions, the same longing for something more. For now, you push those thoughts away, as you always do. Today, like every other day, will be a perfect performance. The hours drift by in a blur of conversation, polite gestures, and carefully calculated smiles. The sun is now high in the sky, its rays pouring in through the large windows, casting dappled light across the room. The house feels almost too warm now, the heat of the day seeping into the walls, making everything seem a bit too close, a bit too suffocating. You sit at the drawing room table, engaged in the predictable chatter, but your mind drifts elsewhere, pulled by the same familiar, unfulfilled yearning. The clinking of teacups, the rustling of papers, and the soft laughter of the other ladies in the room all seem so distant to you, as if you were hearing it from behind a glass wall. You glance down at your hands, the dainty porcelain cup you are holding trembling slightly in your grip. There is an unease in your chest, a tension that has become familiar over the past few days. Each conversation feels hollow, like words spoken into a void that can never be filled. Even the simplest pleasantries now seem to require more effort than they once did. It is as if you are playing a part in a play, your lines memorized, your cues never missed, but with each passing day, you begin to wonder if anyone is even listening. Are they really seeing you, or are they only seeing the perfect image you present? You fear that you may never know. As the conversation moves to the latest social event, you feel a pang of irritation rising within you. The words they speak are so trivial, so inconsequential, yet they carry so much weight in this world. Did you hear about the upcoming ball at the Ashford estate? One of the women asks, her voice light and animated. I do hope we are invited. It will be the event of the season. Another chimes in, her tone matching the enthusiasm. Of course, the dress code will be strict. We must be impeccable as always. You smile politely, nodding, but inside you feel a growing sense of disillusionment. You wonder how much longer you can keep playing this game, living in a world where appearances matter more than authenticity, where the value of a person is determined by their social status and their ability to conform. You have been taught to follow these rules all your life, but something inside you is beginning to crack, something you cannot ignore. You are so much more than the dress you wear, the smile you offer, the words you say, and yet, in this world, those are the only things that seem to matter. The room feels smaller now, as though the walls are closing in, and you feel a desperate need for space, for air, for something that isn't defined by the expectations placed on you. Your thoughts turn again to Thomas, the man who had looked at you with such warmth, such sincerity, and for a fleeting moment you had felt seen. In his gaze there had been no judgment, no social masks, no expectation of performance. There had only been a shared connection, a moment of truth, but you know that even that connection is impossible to hold on to. In the end, you are trapped by your circumstances, and he, like everyone else, will be swept away by the tide of society's demands. You stand abruptly, causing a slight stir in the room. Excuse me, you murmur, your voice soft but firm. I need a moment. The polite gasps of surprise are enough to make you feel the weight of their scrutiny, but you don't stop. You leave the drawing room quickly, the sounds of polite conversation fading as you move down the hallway. The world outside may be full of noise and expectation, but here, in this quiet space, you are allowed to breathe, if only for a moment. You step into the small study at the back of the house, the familiar scent of old books and polished wood greeting you as you close the door behind you. The room is dim, the light from the window casting soft shadows across the bookshelves. It is a sanctuary, a place where you can escape the weight of your duties, if only for a few minutes. You walk to the window and pull back the curtains, the cool air rushing in, carrying with it the faint scent of rain. For the first time all day, you take a deep breath, feeling the crispness of the air fill your lungs. Outside, the garden is bathed in the soft glow of the afternoon light, and for a moment you imagine stepping into it, walking barefoot through the grass, feeling the earth beneath your feet. You could do it. You could walk away from all of this, from the endless obligations, from the suffocating role you've been forced to play. But as the thought crosses your mind, the familiar voice of your mother echoes in your head. A lady must know her place. The words spoken so many times before are like chains that bind you, and they hold you in place, even here, even now. You close your eyes, leaning your forehead against the cool window pane. The garden outside seems so far away, so distant from the life you live, but it also feels like the only place where you could be free. You long to step into that world, to break the rules, to live for yourself, but you know the cost. You know what would happen if you stepped outside of these walls, outside of the role that has been defined for you. And yet, for a brief moment, the thought of freedom, of living without restraint, seems more real than anything else in your life. The evening wears on, and despite the fleeting moments of reprieve, you find yourself caught once more in the whirlwind of obligations. The drawing room is filled with soft murmurs and the clinking of glasses, but you are no longer truly present. You move from one conversation to the next, nodding in agreement, offering polite smiles, but your mind is elsewhere. You cannot stop thinking about the garden outside, the world beyond the house, the possibility of stepping outside these walls and living a life that feels real, unburdened by the heavy chains of propriety. The laughter of the guests fills the room, but it sounds hollow, as though it is not meant for you. It feels like you are standing on the edge of something important, something that could change everything, but you cannot quite reach it. The social masks you wear feel heavier with each passing moment, and you wonder, for the 100th time, why you must play this game. Why must you always be so careful, so composed, when all you want is to be free? Why must you remain a prisoner to expectations that are not your own? You glance around the room, looking at the other women gathered here. They are all so poised, so elegant, their words measured, their movements graceful. Each of them seems to play their part effortlessly, as though they were born to wear these masks, to dance this dance. But you feel out of place, like an actor who has forgotten their lines. You see the flickers of emotions beneath their calm exteriors, the small gestures that betray their true feelings, but none of them will acknowledge what is real. It is as if they have all agreed to live in a world of appearances, where nothing is ever truly spoken, and nothing is ever truly felt. Your gaze lands on Thomas again, and this time you cannot look away. He stands by the fireplace, speaking with a few other gentlemen, his expression thoughtful, his eyes scanning the room with an air of quiet observation. His smile is warm, genuine, and it feels like a moment of connection, a moment of truth in a world built on lies. He doesn't wear the mask like the others do. There is something about him that feels different, something that resonates with the part of you that longs for authenticity, for realness. You wonder if he knows, if he feels the same dissonance that you do. Is it possible that he too feels trapped by the constraints of this world? Or is it just your wishful thinking, a longing to find someone who sees the world as you do? You catch his eye for a brief moment, and for a second time seems to slow. The world around you blurs, and you are left with only the quiet intensity of his gaze. It is a fleeting connection, a silent understanding, but it sends a shiver down your spine. Your heart beats a little faster, and you wonder if he can hear the echo of your thoughts in the silence between you. Can he see the longing in your eyes? Can he feel the same ache, the same desire to break free from the roles that have been thrust upon you both? But the moment passes quickly, and the world rushes back in. The conversations resume, the laughter continues, and the weight of your responsibilities presses in once again. You feel a deep ache in your chest as you turn away from him. Retreating back into your role, you smile, nodding politely at the guests around you, but inside, a part of you is still with him, still caught in the quiet moment you shared. You wonder what would happen if you were to speak to him, if you were to let the mask slip just for a moment. Would he understand? Or would he too be trapped by the rules of this world, unable to break free from the expectations that bind him? The thought of it makes your heart race, and for a brief moment you feel the stirrings of hope, the hope that maybe, just maybe, there is someone who understands, someone who sees the real you. But as the evening wears on, the weight of reality presses down once more. The rules of society are too strong, too ingrained to be ignored for long. The guests continue to come and go, the social niceties continue, and you remain in your role. The mask slips back into place, and you once again become the perfect lady, the daughter of respectable parents, the woman who must always conform to the expectations of her work. As the clock ticks on, you realize that the evening is nearly over. The last of the guests will soon leave, and you will return to your room, to the solitude that has become your constant companion. The feeling of longing, of desire for something more, will settle back into the depths of your heart, where it will remain, hidden and unspoken, until the next time you are reminded of the life you could have had, the life you long for. For now, you turn away from Thomas, the last trace of connection between you fading like the light of the evening sun. The night will pass, just as it always does, and tomorrow will come with its own set of duties, its own set of expectations. The performance will continue, and you will play your part, just as you always do. But tonight, just for a moment, you let yourself dream of something different, and in the quiet corners of your mind, you hold on to that dream, knowing that it is the only thing that can keep you going in a world where nothing is ever truly as it seems. The night grows quieter, and you find yourself alone once again in the stillness of your room. The events of the evening feel like a distant echo, fading as quickly as the last guest left, their footsteps retreating down the long hallway. You sit by the window, the soft rustle of the curtains in the cool night air barely audible. Outside, the garden is cloaked in darkness, the moon now hidden behind a veil of clouds, leaving the world outside cold and silent. It's the same silence that surrounds you in this room, the same heavy silence that clings to you like a shroud, wrapping you up in the weight of everything unsaid, everything unspoken. You close your eyes, letting the quiet settle in. The world outside may be still, but inside, your thoughts are anything but. The longing that has been a constant companion, quietly growing within you, refuses to fade. The words you have suppressed, the desires you have buried deep within yourself, rise to the surface once again. You can no longer ignore them. You cannot pretend that the life you lead is enough, that the mask you wear is all you need to be. There is more to you than this. There is more to life than these walls, these expectations, these carefully crafted roles. And yet, even as the truth begins to settle in your heart, you know there is little you can do to change it. The weight of your duty presses in on you, heavier than ever. You are a daughter, a lady, a woman who must live by the rules that have been handed down to you. The choices before you are few: conform, obey, perform, or risk everything and lose the life you have built. The life that keeps you safe within the boundaries of society's gaze. And yet, in your heart, the thought of breaking free grows stronger with every passing moment. The dream of living authentically, of stepping outside these walls and embracing the world with open arms, feels like an impossible wish, one that fades the moment you try to reach for it. You rise from your chair, walking slowly across the room to the vanity, where the reflection in the mirror meets your gaze once again. This time, you don't turn away. You look at yourself, really look at yourself, and you see not just the reflection of a lady who has learned to play the part, but the woman beneath the surface. You see the dreams, the desires, the quiet strength that has been buried for so long. For the first time, you see yourself as you truly are, and the realization fills you with both fear and clarity. You are more than the role you play. You are more than the expectations of your family, your society. But what does that mean for you now? You take a deep breath, your fingers brushing the edge of the vanity, the smooth wood cool under your touch. The world outside may still be quiet, but inside, a shift is happening. The tension you've carried for so long, the desire to break free, to live for yourself, is no longer something you can push aside. It is a part of you now, woven into the very fabric of your being. You are no longer willing to settle for a life that is not yours. The question remains, how will you live it? As the night stretches on, you prepare for bed, your movements slow, deliberate, almost meditative. The weight of the day's thoughts lingers, but so too does a sense of resolve. The future may still be uncertain, the path ahead unclear, but for the first time in a long while, you feel as though you are standing on the edge of something. The mask may still be in place for now, but the cracks are beginning to show, and the day will come, soon you hope, when you will no longer wear it. You slip into bed, the cool sheets wrapping around you, a comforting weight. The silence of the night surrounds you once again, but it no longer feels oppressive. Instead, it feels like a quiet invitation, a moment of stillness in which you can hear your own thoughts clearly. And as you close your eyes, drifting towards sleep, you hold on to that small spark of hope, the belief that there is more to life than what you have been taught, more to you than the part you've been forced to play. In the quiet of the night, you let yourself dream, and this time you dream not of what is expected, but of what could be, of a life that is free, authentic, and your own.